just couldn't find a way.
Hey, what up, you guys? It's Danny B. You're watching the Trash Dash. In this video, I'm going to be doing 25 Vigilante movies that I like. And this is not going to be in any particular order or anything. This is just 25 random ones that I picked out and I wanted to kind of show off. So, here we go. First up, we get Hobo with the Shotgun. Probably a lot of you guys have seen this. This is like Rucker Hauer, based off of the Grindhouse fake trailer. Probably my favorite thing to come out of any of the Grindhouse stuff, even including like the original like Planet Terror and Death Proof and stuff. I like Hobo with a Shotgun. So, alright, next up, Original Gangsters. This is an awesome one with Jim Brown and Fred Williamson and Pam Grier is in this. The rapper Drew Down is in this. Larry Cohen's best movie, in my opinion. Original Gangsters. I love this one. Alright, next up, speaking of Pam Grier, we got Coffee. This is an awesome old 70s vigilante movie where she's getting revenge for, I think her brother overdosed. Was it her brother? But yeah, she's getting revenge on all the drug dealers and stuff. Yeah, awesome one. Next up, we got Vigilante. Directed by William Lustig, who did, Maniac. This has also Fred Williamson in it, and Robert Forster's in this. And what's kind of funny, too, is that Robert Forster and then Pam Grier would go on to do Jackie Brown together. Alright, next up, we got I Spit on Your Grave Part 2. This is my favorite I Spit on Your Grave movie out of all of them, including the original. I haven't seen that Deja Vu or whatever that one's called, but I like this one the best. I like the actress the best, and then the setting. Really brutal film. Definitely not for everyone. This is very heavy on the rape stuff. But you get to see her kill all these guys in gruesome ways and stuff, and that's what I really like. This also has one of the best toilet death scenes where she's shoving a guy's head in the toilet, and it's disgusting. Awesome scene and awesome movie. Yeah, I Spit on Your Grave Part 2. Next up, we get Street Law. This has Franco Nero. And basically, he's just getting revenge on people that stole his money at the bank. Like, he was checking out all this money at the bank one day. They bust in and stole it. They robbed the whole bank and took his money. Then they took him hostage. And then he wakes up and he's like, I'm gonna kill him! Yeah, awesome one. And then the soundtrack on this has an awesome song by, what is their names? Like Guido Maridolis or something. The song is called Driving All Around. Look that up. Alright, next up is a French-Canadian one called Cat Call. Omega Violence, directed by Patrick Fortin. This is a very, it's very gory, but it's like cartoonish gore, kind of like Trauma. This is where this girl's getting catcalled on the street all day, and she gets sick of it. She just starts like exploding people's heads and ripping their faces off and stuff. Super gory and just like a lot of fun. Really cool one. I bought this from my buddy Rick's website. All right, next up we get Taken. I love the Taken movies. This is my favorite out of the three. The unrated cut, of course. This is pretty dark. She gets kidnapped as soon as she gets off of the plane, and then he's out to get her. A lot of fun. My favorite part in the whole movie is the guy goes like, it wasn't personal, it was just business. And he goes, it was personal to me. All right, next up we got The Punisher. This is my favorite Marvel movie. Blade comes kind of close, and I think Blade technically is a better made film, but I like this one. I think Dolph Lundgren absolutely killed this role, and it's a lot more realistic in his performance than the other Punishers. Maybe except for John Bernthal in the Netflix show. He did a really good job, but this is the best film. Alright, then we get One Man Jury. This is a new one I kind of discovered. Or not new, but, it's a new one that for me. Jack Palance is in this. Joe Spinell in this. Christopher Mitchum is in this. I think he's a politician now, but he was in Jess Franco's Faceless. So this is Jack Palance. He's like sick of all the red tape and stuff, and he wants to catch this serial killer. So he makes a deal with the mafia to catch this guy. But then the deal backfires when he has to arrest one of their guys. So then they are coming after him, and now he has to fight the mob. Really cool. Awesome vigilante movie. If you want to watch it, just let me know and I'll give you the link to check it out on YouTube. I uploaded it. Alright, next up we got The Exterminator. One of my top 5 vigilante movies, and one of the first I ever seen. I saw this when I was about 8 years old, which is way too early to be watching this thing. Yeah, one of the most gruesome vigilante movies. He's like putting people in the meat grinders, and there's decapitations in this. There's even like a creep with a soldering iron who's burning up prostitutes and stuff. I love how hardcore this one goes. Directed by James Glickenhaus. Alright, next up we got Puppet Master 3. Definitely gonna be the only one with puppets on this whole list. I much prefer when the puppets are vigilante puppets than like killer puppets. I like when they're good guys. And then Nazis killed Toulon's wife in this, so Toulon has the puppets going after them to revenge his wife. Awesome movie. My only complaint about this film, and really you can't even fault it, but is that Blade isn't in it that much, because it's kind of like the origin of his story. You do got Six Shooter, who's my favorite puppet. I like Jester. Jester has some really cool moments in this. And Blade is in it, but just very little. But yeah. Next up, we got Falling Down, which is a different kind of vigilante movie. You know, vigilantes are not always good people, and this is the case with this. And he's really not even really like on a mission. He's just trying to get home, but just he's having a bad day. He's almost like a mental breakdown kind of guy. He's just blowing shit up and stuff for pissing him off. If you haven't seen this one, definitely check it out. It's really funny, but it also is kind of sad too. Yeah, Falling Down. Alright, next up, we got Death Wish. I'm sure you guys know I absolutely love the Death Wish movies. And how funny is it that they put him with, like, the Wildie from Part 3 on the cover of the original? Like, he didn't have that in this one. But yeah, this one it's not the most action-packed Death Wish, but it's probably the best dramatic one. And something I really like about this one is they actually filmed it in New York. So it's got all these, like, really cool shots of the city and stuff. Sometimes I'll hear people say that the Death Wish movies got really cheesy after part 1, but if you ever watch part 1, this is really cheesy too. Like, the bad guys in this, Jeff Goldblum and the other guys, they're like the most like over the top bad guys you could possibly get. Bronson is absolutely fantastic in this movie. Death Wish. Next up, we got Miss 45, one of my favorite Abel Ferrara movies, probably my second favorite. I kind of go back and forth between this one and Bad Lieutenant. And I actually think this movie is a little better than the original Death Wish. And this is another one where the vigilante is not like really always a good guy, or, you know, good girl, I guess. She starts out doing kind of the right thing, but then she just kind of goes a little too crazy and starts killing innocent people and stuff. There's a moment where you're like, wait, why is she going after this guy? And so the plot of this one is she gets raped twice in the same day. Kills the second guy and takes his gun, and now she's chopping him up, throwing his body parts all over the city, and going after other guys that are kind of like him that could even be the first guy. And she just kind of starts getting more crazy and more sexualized, like she's putting on all kind of like lipstick to kind of lure them in and stuff. Awesome movie, Miss 45. And next up is gonna be Death Wish 2 and Death Wish 3. And I like Death Wish 4 too, but part 1 through 3 are my favorite. And part 2, I think, is my favorite Death Wish movie just because it is still like that level of darkness that the first one is, but has a little bit of more action in it. And then part 3 is really fun. Part 3 is like full of action and just ridiculousness. I like part 2 the best because it's a little less ridiculous. But really, like, any of the Death Wish movies starring Bronson are the best, so. Alright, next up we got Thriller, A Cruel Picture. This was one I checked out, I think, last year for the first time. It was a little slower than I expected, but I did like it a lot. There's a really nasty scene in this where she gets stabbed in the eye, and it's an actual eyeball. Like someone sticking a knife into a dead person's eye. Like, that's how they got the shot. They went into the morgue and paid the mortician off to stick a knife in a corpse's eye. Oh my god. So if you're squeamish about that kind of thing, then definitely avoid this one. But yeah, and this was the inspiration for Kill Bill, I believe. Next up, we got The Exterminator Part 2. Which I kind of go back and forth which one I like better, the second one or the first one. The second one is definitely like a lot more like kind of 80s cheesy, whereas the first one is a lot more kind of grindhouse style. I say the second one is more fun to watch with a group of people than the first one, but I do kind of like the first one a little better, I guess. Next up, we get Sudden Impact, which I don't consider most of the Dirty Harry movies vigilante films because he's a cop. But this one, the person he's trying to catch is a vigilante. So it's like she's Miss 45, basically. They even got the same guy that Miss 45 goes to shoot he's in this one, and the girl in this shoots him. And then Dirty Harry himself is, I think he's suspended or something, so he's kind of going vigilante in this too. And this is my favorite Dirty Harry movie too. This has so much action in it, so much fun scenes. And I always laugh about the music in this, the opening music, because it starts off with like kind of like this 80s hip hop, like New Jack Swing kind of music. And I just imagine Clint Eastwood going, "I want rap music in this." But yeah, she's going around shooting people in the fucking balls in this. Alright, next up we got The Crow. And this is an awesome one. Really kind of a sad movie. And I really wouldn't even say this is a superhero movie. This is a guy back from the dead trying to get revenge. I absolutely love the cinematography in this. Basically, I think they removed every color except for black and red and gray. Brandon Lee was absolutely terrifying in this. And yeah, awesome movie. Alright, next up we got Taxi Driver. And this is kind of like more of like a mental breakdown kind of movie, but he does go vigilante in it. This is another one where the vigilante is not necessarily a good guy. Like, he goes to kill a politician, then that doesn't work out, so then he goes to kill a pimp. This is my favorite Martin Scorsese movie, absolute masterpiece, and De Niro is great in this. Alright, next up we got Savage Streets. This is a fun one with Linda Blair. Leanna Quigley's in this. Really awesome soundtrack. This is directed by Danny Steinman, who directed Friday the 13th Part 5, which is actually my favorite Friday the 13th film. Aside from The Exorcist, this is probably my favorite Linda Blair film. And she's going after guys with a crossbow, and this is pretty cool. So yeah, Savage Streets. Next up, we got Fair City. This is another one by Abel Ferrara. This is where these two mob guys are going after a serial killer that's killing their strippers. They run like a stripper escort agency kind of thing. Yeah, very kind of sleazy movie, full of action and stuff. One of his more entertaining movies. It's Fair City. Last up is 8mm. This is another one by Joel Schumacher, who did Falling Down. This was right after he did the Batman movies, which are like lighthearted and fun, and then he goes straight to depressing and dark. And James Gandolfini is in this movie, and one of my favorite Nicolas Cage movies. And this is where, you know, he gets hired to investigate this snuff film, like find out if the girl in it's okay, and then he finds out that she's not. So now he's going after the people that made the film, the snuff film, and taking them out. Everyone always gives Nicolas Cage credit for being like over the top and crazy, but he plays a sad man really good. There's a couple films where he plays like a depressed, sad man, like this one, and I can think of The Weatherman. Every time he does it, it's one of his best performances. Great thriller, revenge, vigilante movie, 8mm. So a couple honorable mentions. I want to give one to Toxic Avenger, one to Batman, and then also one to 187, which I couldn't find my copies of those, though. I had to also narrow it down to... Oh, and also The Substitute. But yeah, I wanted to narrow it down to 25, so honorable mention to those ones. Alright guys, it's Danny B. You're watching The Trash Dash. Let me know what you think of the Vigilante movies. Let me know your favorite one. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.